Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously. So, what do we do? Do a dee 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 dum dee dee do. 3, 2, 1, my juicy little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Now then, my delicious little babies. So the time is, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? So it's 25 to 1 in the afternoon, my delicious little babies, in our old England, okay? And well, there's very little blue sky. There's a lot of not so very nice grey and white fluffy clouds. And it has been peeing down. That doesn't mean just got an itch. With rain, my delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? Anyway, that's the weather forecast, okay? I can still wear my t-shirt, but it's not very warm. Okay, my delicious little babies, now then. So, what have I got for you today? So, heaven knows how long this will take to upload my delicious little babies. I've now been put back on a pause. So, quite possibly, I will not be able to put any comments now. I'd say for another 22 hours. Okay, my delicious little babies, because I'm protecting the community. You see, I'm protecting the community. So when you just put dear, or when you put thank you and bright blessings to you all, it appears that I appear to be a problem to old YouTube. My delicious little babies. Look at that! Look at that! Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, Kai? Could it be that maybe they do not like who quite possibly I'm advertising? Could that be the reason? Maybe partly. I'm not entirely sure of all of the reason, my delicious little babies, but maybe partly. Anyway, so the first one, my delicious little babies, well, I've seen this, okay, then we'll have a little natter, okay? Right, let's have a look. And by the way, with do a dee 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 dum dee dee do, we need to look at the year of the song, my delicious little babies. You just need to take ham in pieces, bits and pieces, out of what I advertise, my delicious little babies, if you follow me, please and thank you so very much, and thank you for any views, for any likes, and for the occasional comments. However, I very rarely get seen. Okay, my delicious little babies. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried, because there's always somebody seeing, and there's always somebody there we are hearing. Do you see what I mean? My delicious little babies, one way or another, there we are, it gets out. Okay? But there's always, there we are, method in what I do. Okay, my delicious little babies. It's a case of having to try to work out, there we are, at times, what I'm saying, my delicious little babies. Now then, so the first one, well, this is popped up on my feed, my delicious little babies. This uploader happens to have 1.46 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies. Now then, in your space bar in old YouTube, my delicious little babies, should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, capital S, spinning, space, capital C, colours, then a space, capital R, reality, and then a space, capital M for media. So it should read, once typed in, my delicious little babies, spinning, colours, reality, media. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, the video should read, I think it's, is it 3.57 seconds long, my delicious little babies, okay? It should read Westminster Bridge, hot dog scammers exposed. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I'm just going to repeat this again for you, shall I? Westminster Bridge, hot dog scammers exposed. Okay, my delicious little babies. And yes, this is going on in our old England. Okay, now the reason why I've got there we are, why I happen to have a huge issue, there we are, with this, my delicious little babies, is in our old England, if you want to say a burger truck. So if you want to say sell burgers or breakfast or chips, teas, coffees, pop, juices, water, things like this now then. There's usually, well, it used to be very strong regulations, which means that, you had to have, go through all of the flipping hoops and loops to get your hygiene, there we are, certificate, my delicious little babies. Well, it appears not in this case. It seems, my delicious little babies. So when I seen this video, I've got to be honest, it's not very often that I get rattled, but I certainly, there we are, felt rather rattled by this, my delicious little babies, because at the end of the day, they're pulling these little carts along, okay, my delicious little babies, and you see a lot of these in old China, and you also see it in India, okay, my delicious little babies. So that's not myself, and I shouldn't even have to keep saying it. That's not myself being racist or prejudiced, right? What they're bringing the business over here for? Now, I bet these little effers are not paying tax, are they? My delicious little babies, you know what I mean? So not paying tax, right? So where have they got to wash their hands now? And they're selling like hot dogs and things. Where's the meat coming from? See, I'm stumbling here. I'm not changing my video. So where's the meat coming from? Mind you, we could say the same about McDonald's, couldn't we, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm not shouting at you, my delicious little babies, right? This just peed me well off because I know ones, and when I've talked to them, I said, well, I said, so why don't, over the decades, I said, well, why don't you have a truck or something like this, get one of the trucks, so that they can earn a living? Because they have to pay their taxes and everything, you know what I mean? My delicious little babies kind. They said, no, this is because we've got all this hygiene business to go through and everything like this. And let me tell you, they come down on you like a ton of bricks, man. So if you're English, okay, my delicious little babies, okay, so they come down on you like a ton of bricks. But if you're one of these, who, by the way, seem to have rather an issue, a problem with being filmed, okay, my delicious little babies, pulling the carts around. So when they're dishing out food, my delicious little babies, I'm just using examples here. They could be maybe picking their nickies out the backside, or they could be blowing their nose, okay? Then they're, handing you a hot dog, my delicious little babies. You see what I mean? It's damn rank, man. Okay? So why is this allowed to happen? That's the question that I'm asking, my delicious little babies, is damn rank. So for the white English or the black English or the Asian English, right? So we're not allowed to, set up a truck somewhere, where it's in one place, you can either tow it or you can have those ones that stand, okay, my delicious little babies, okay? And you've got to go to all of these things now, health and hygiene, but not these. And they all seem to be, for some reason, waiting, there we are, for somebody, and this is what your woman there on the camera who you couldn't see. That's what she was asking, who you waiting for? Can you see what I'm saying, my delicious little babies, right? Now, some would just say, oh, well, they're just trying to earn a living. That's what you call epoxy, there we are, do-gooders. They're not getting it, isn't it? They're not getting what I'm saying. You see what I mean? For everybody else, so you're taxed to the effing hilt. You know what I mean? They want to keep you where you're down here now. Only the ones who are damn well corrupt, there we are, they seem to rise to the top just like a flipping piece of shit when you go to the toilet now. That's usually actually my delicious little babies, okay? As my beautiful dear little friend Kaz would say, that's usually after you've had good food. It'll rise to the top, so it doesn't matter how many times you flush it. It'll only go down when it decides to go down. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Okay, so what's the point that I'm making? My point is they should not even be on our streets. So when one's, because you're always going to get some. Yeah, but they've got to earn a living. What about our homeless? My delicious little babies, okay? What about ones who've been on benefits for years, my delicious little babies? What about those? So, say, for example, if somebody said, okay, I don't know, a mother with a couple of little babies, and she says, right, I'm just going to set up one of these little carts, okay, my delicious little babies, let me tell you, they'd tell her to get off the road, to get off the street. There we are. Do you see what I mean? Okay, go back and claim your benefit. But the likelihood is, Martelish little babies, that what they're doing is they're probably scamming and skanking our old England. There we are. Okay, Martelish little babies. Then they're going out and getting more flipping damn change, man. Ka-ching. So no wonder the little bitch didn't want to be filmed. And yeah, I will call her that on my camera, my delicious little babies, okay? If she's not doing wrong, then why doesn't she want to be filmed? You know what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? This is, and it is, as our lovely dear UK Colin would say, not in that way with anybody. This is an attack, there we are, on our country, on us, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? So we're not allowed to get up the ladder. We're not allowed to, manage to, like a little squirrel, to gather our ka-ching or whatever else, you know what I mean? But these can claim the benefits, and then on top of that, they can get ka-ching more change. And Westminster, do you see what I mean, my delicious baby? So yes, I am flipping annoyed. There we are about it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not being nasty. So, you know, if anybody takes me the wrong way, okay, then let it be so. Let it be, let it be. You know, there will be an answer, let it be. Yeah, boot the effers out. There we are. That's the effing answer. Get rid of it. Simple thing. Before you know it, you're going to have them on the street. You see, they only show you so much in China, my delicious little babies, okay? They don't show you, there we are, the damn truth. Okay, so I don't give a damn what any others say on their channels. You know what I mean? Apart from the China show, who, there we are, does tell the truth, you know what I mean? And they are not always monetized. That's the China Space show on YouTube, my delicious little babies, because if they say something that they're not supposed to say, then they're not monetized for it. There we are. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Okay, but ones and even Chinese on other channels. So this is no, you know, I'm not being disrespectful. Do you understand what I mean? I'm just done saying it the way it is. At the end of the day, the fact of the matter is that they want to tell you that shiny, shiny, happy people, you know, sheeple in China, that everybody's happy, super duper happy, and China's really not as bad as what one seems to think, my delicious little babies. No. I totally agree. There's a very, 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 there we are, very different side. Okay, and not to mention, I'm going to mention it again, where they get the oil out of the flipping drains now then, and then they cook it for street food, and then give it to their own, plus there we are, the tourists who come from all over the world. So let me tell you, let nobody tell myself, my delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? So we do not do that, because clearly we have, there we are, our oil cleaned in somewhere, my delicious little babies. Not that I'm saying that it's brilliant for us, because I do not genuinely, you know, believe with many of the oils that they are. But what's my point in all this? This should not be allowed to happen. Now, somebody else who's seen that, so I'm not inciting anything, but you imagine somebody else who wanted to own a business, you know, to get one of these trucks to make food, okay, my delicious little babies, you know, to serve the public, you know, mankind, I must not say public, my delicious little babies, can you know, and for many of them, there we are, they couldn't get a licence. Huh. So these are just with the carts. Let me damn flipping rent sick man to get a bucket and project in it. So I'm very annoyed, but I'm not shouting at you, my delicious little babies. You see what I mean? We've been running to the ground. That is what they are doing to us, my delicious little babies. You see what I mean? Then they're complaining, oh, we got this much out of work, we got this much who are disabled, and all of this now then. But they're bringing this. Make me damn sick, man. So that's that video, my delicious little babies. Yes, I will say it, and getting back to what I just wanted to say. So let's rewind and start again. Okay, so yeah. So I know that there's a war going on and things like this, but they seem to be constantly, there we are, highlighting this. Now, no, I do not agree with, nobody would, in the correct noddle, nobody would agree with little babies being starved or mankind, their mummies, daddies, aunties, uncles, nanas, granddads, everything. Nobody, sisters, brothers, nobody would want anybody to be starved. We certainly would not want it to come to our country, my delicious little babies, okay? Then you've got other things going on where they're really, with our farmers, my delicious little babies, do you understand what I mean? Yes, okay, so we are in a very serious, there we are, stumbled against situation. There we are. We really, really are. And these efforts are trying to speed everything along like it's no tomorrow, my delicious little babies. You know what I mean? But if everybody just got together and said, no, 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 there we are. We could just put a damn well stop to it. You see what I mean? We don't have to use violence, don't have to do nothing. We just say no. Do you see? But there's got to come a point. There we are, where enough is enough of this. How much more can one take? So, but of course, they don't want anybody to have businesses either, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? They're like Pac-Man, man, they want to swallow everything up. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Okay, so yes, there we are, I'm having my say. So, and I'm not being, so if anybody feels that I'm being nasty, well then let it be. Okay, because it's not always nice to be nice. The fact of the matter is this, right? Instead of concentrating on Gaza and all this business now, we must be concentrating, there we are, on our own country. And other countries, there we are, should be concentrating on their countries. But you've got the Palestinian, whatever he is, governor or, I don't know, prime minister, whatever he is, or president, I don't know what he damn well is. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that he was taking, so if I'm wrong, okay, right? But I've been hearing different videos with things, right? He's been taking, there we are, ka-ching, ching, ching. So who could tell myself that a war can last for, I don't know, 70 odd years, whatever it is? You know what I mean? Every year, and that's right. You got to blame the flipping Palestinian, there we are, leader, whatever he's supposed to be leading. There we are, that's who you blame for it. You see what I mean, okay? But I can see how this is, there we are, long time how this has been, there we are, circling. So if anybody feels that I'm nasty, my little babies, because I'm concerned about my own country now, okay, then so be it. Okay, I couldn't give a fiddler's F. That is what I'm done saying. Because once you fall into this, right, you're too busy concentrating on every other country. All of the countries, there we are, have their problems. But right now, there we are, we have got serious problems in our old England, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? And I was listening to our lovely, not in that way, not in that way, our lovely trending on Iconic on YouTube, my delicious little babies with spaces, okay, they're up to 8,000, 8.1 thousand or 8.07 or something anyway. It's always great to see everybody's numbers go up, my delicious little babies, okay? But the fact of the matter is, my delicious little baby, and he happened to be talking about, because it's on one of these roundabouts, well, I've already seen this, okay, my delicious little babies, where somebody had done, is it, I can't remember now, is it the St. George that, and painted it in the roundabout? Yes, because ones are getting, there we are, sick and tired of this. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, we're in England, aren't we, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? We're not in the Middle East. We're not in Asia. We're in our old England. So if that comes across as racist or prejudice, then so be it. But I know who I am, and anybody else knows who I am. There we are also. You know what I mean? And then they're closing down job centres. I said this before, closing down job centres and everything like that now then, okay? So what is it then? So they're letting all of these work with their dirty mitts, their dirty hands now. Disgusting businessman. Do you know what I mean? You see, this is like a book, isn't it? So there's got to be a beginning, stumbling again. There's going to be a middle. There's surely going to be an effing end. Do you understand what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? Because I just cannot see how we can just continue just to put up with it. And then they make out that, that the English do not want to work. That's what really, there we are, angers me. Well, the fact of the matter is, if they pay decent, there we are, wage in the first place, there we are, then surely to goodness, ones that then want to get out of the beds, isn't it? Simple things, I'm just saying. So if ones do not like it, well, I'm not saying sorry. I'm not saying sorry at all, because I mean every word that I've just said in my camera. You know what I mean? They want to make us look that we are like we are the worst in the world. We are the most accommodating in our country. Maatelijk babies the most. There we are, accommodating. In fact, we've been there we are, too much bloody damn well accommodating. And all these bloody do-gooders out there, oh, but we must help these, we must help them. Oh, right, okay. So will they take them into their own homes? And feed them, clothe them, and pay the bills? This is a simple teen question that I'm asking, Maatelijk babies, and the answer to that is because I've seen plenty, I've seen plenty videos on this where they turn around and they say, oh, but we haven't got the room. No. But they soon come out flipping protesting, oh, we must look after them. Do you know those? Okay, we must put them, there we are. I don't mean physically, just stick them somewhere else. Leave them where they are now. Because those are severely brainwashed, there we are, they're never going to learn, okay? I've got nothing against any other culture, any other nationality, I never have done, right? But at the end of the day, when I see things like this now, we've been watching this now, there we are for years, and yet nobody's allowed to say nothing. That's why you got censoring, that's why you got everything else. And something else I want to say as well, because I'm going to go on to this video, then I'm going to be, well, you know, then I'm going to have a quick talk, and then I'm going to be over and out. So the next video, Maatelijk babies, this uploader has 2.36 thousand subscribers, Maatelijk babies. I'm really shocked at why his numbers are not going up. Well, really, actually, I'm not shocked, so I'll take that back. We all, there we are, know the reason why his numbers are not going up the way they should be. Okay, bless him. And like I say, not in that way with anybody. In the old space bar in YouTube, Maatelijk babies, yes, I will keep advertising. Capital G for Gary, space, capital W for Waterman. Okay, Maatelijk babies, so it should read Gary space Waterman in old YouTube, Maatelijk babies. He's just put up a video a number of hours ago, Maatelijk babies. I cannot comment to do with trending on Iconic to say thank you. I cannot comment on Gary's to say thank you because, like I say, I've been bad. You're bad. Do you see what I mean? Okay, for like another 20 odd hours now. Okay, my delicious little babies. And the video should read, this is just over 40 minutes long, 40 minutes long. International fraud, apply the pressure. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you. International fraud, apply the pressure. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, so yeah. So now we're going to close our book, and then we must all go back to where we need to go back to, my delicious little babies anyway. So yeah, so Gary's covering, and he's talking about, you know, that even more, the sun's come out. The sun has got his hat on, hip 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 hooray. It seems that they're clearing the clouds at the moment, my delicious little babies, so you can see the blue sky. Anyway, my delicious little babies, you know, blue sky. Okay, my delicious little babies. Anyway, so what Gary's talking about, yeah, because they're still dissolving. There we are, businesses, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? Okay, there's an awful lot that's going on. From what I can see of all of this, there we are, my delicious little babies. It appears to myself, so no disrespect to anybody, okay, because I do not mean it that way, okay, but everybody appears, there we are, to be playing their role. They all seem to be playing their part. There we are on this stage. There we are, my delicious little babies, because that's what we're on. We're on a stage. Okay, my delicious little babies. Okay, so each and every one of us are playing a part. Okay, and some, like I say, giving more in depth. Okay, my delicious little babies, but well worth a listen to Gary's video as well, my delicious little babies. Okay, I know it's a lot to take in for somebody. There we are, bless you, who's new to all of this. There we are, because it is a lot to take in. Okay. And no, it's not very nice to hear, but in parts. But there we are. But I've known about this, there we are, a long time. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, very finally, no, before I say finally, if you please go on to Substack. Okay, my delicious little babies, you can open the app. It's orange. It's very clear to see orange. Okay, my delicious little babies. And who you're looking for is capital M, Mark, space, capital S, Steele, Steele, because it's got an E on the end, his surname, bless him, not in that way, not in that way. And he's just put up a latest video this morning. I think it was just after 7 o'clock. I've already listened to it, My Delicious Little Baby's Okay. So please, everybody's doing their part here, okay, and then it's like a puzzle, there we are, and then you've got to put all the pieces together, okay, My Delicious Little Babies. But somebody who knows a lot about this, oh bless his dear little soul, is our lovely, not in that way, not in that way, our lovely davidike.com, okay, My Delicious, there we are, little babies, okay. Should anybody happen to have any form of an interest in the other to our lovely David Icke and our lovely David Steele as well. Okay, My Delicious Little Babies, they're all so lovely, okay, but they're all doing, what they're doing, okay, My Delicious Little Babies, but I will always listen, you know what I mean, because I like to, there we are, follow what's going on, My Delicious Little Babies, okay. And of course, I have respect to anybody, there we are, who does damn well a lot of research, okay, there we are, My Delicious Little Babies, and that will never change, okay. So what's happening here, so what Mark Steele, is talking about is all to do with, that these are not, what they're saying that they are, which we do know, okay, My Delicious Little Babies, okay, but, it's really important. I cannot really emphasise this enough, there we are, how important this is, there we are, My Delicious Little Babies, okay, because this must be stopped too, because this is genocide, democide, and it is, basically it's murderers, because that's what they are. There we are, My Delicious Little Babies, okay? This is extremely, there we are, serious indeed, what is going on, okay, to do with our so-called, who are supposed to be leading us, and not only in our country, there we are, but also in a lot of other countries, there we are, okay, My Delicious Little Babies, okay, when ones feel that they're all against each other, no, they're not. They're all, there we are, working together, My Delicious Little Babies, and they're all working for one. There we are. Okay, My Delicious Little Babies, okay, so there we are, we know what's going on here. Now, finally, My Delicious Little Babies, so I was outside in my garden yesterday evening, and I thought to myself, you know what, and I happened to be watching a video, I cannot remember which one it was now for the life of me, and something triggered my noddle. And do you know what, My Delicious Little Babies, right? I went back to a certain time before I moved here, My Delicious Little Babies, okay? And, sorry, excuse me. And I was needing to move from a previous property where I used to live, My Delicious Little Babies. And I wasn't being able to get anywhere quick enough, okay, My Delicious Little Babies. Anyway, somebody put 2 cards through my door. Was it yellow, black and white or something? It was, and then one of them had put an exclamation mark or 2 exclamation marks. Cannot remember if it was 1 or 2 now. The cards are somewhere. I'll put them somewhere, My Delicious Little Babies, because it was many years ago. And it said, Jesus loves you. And then not long after that, that's when I got offered this property, My Delicious Little Babies, to which I was very, very thankful and grateful for. Do you know what I mean? My Delicious Little Babies. Anyway, but let's go back. If I go back decades ago, when that man all in white, he was a Muslim, bless him. Okay, My Delicious Little Babies. He was dressed all in white from head to toe, and he had a white mark. I'm going to say this again. Everything has just clicked in. And then when he said, I've been asked to pick you up. And I said, well, you're not going to murder me, are you? He says, no. And I said, well, I've got, the cash ka-ching. I said, take me. And he said, I've been asked to get you home safe. I'll never forget that, ever. I've never seen him again, bless him. And I thanked him, not in that way, not in that way. I thanked him very much so for helping me. Do you understand what I mean? All them decades ago. Okay. I said, so well, who's asked you to do this? And he said, somebody higher. My Delicious Little Babies. Now, when I go back to when I was a little baby, and I put the video up a very, very, very long time ago now, My Delicious Little Babies came, and in the little playpen, I was in there with my little yellow cardigan and my little tarts and my little white tights and everything. Okay, My Delicious Little Babies in my little dress when I was a baby, a little wee baby. Well, and all it had was a little doggy. I don't like to say call them little doggies, though. They're our beautiful little sons or daughters. And a little rabbit. It just seemed very odd to myself that there was only those 2 cuddly toys. in my little playpen. And it was all coming back to me yesterday evening, Mards Lishtuk baby. So what my thoughts is, so what's gone on? And then that paint lid down there, 1973, there we are, when I was born. And then when I was going round and I was seeing like little socks, little baby socks, little shoes and things like this now then. So what has gone on? So have I been sparred on? There we are for a very long time, a lot longer. There we are than what I even realise. Okay, babies, and how do I know? Because I don't know what's happened with myself as a baby. Not meaning that way, not at all. Because at the end of the day, my beautiful, I love her so, my beautiful dear little mama bear and my dear dad, they would never ever do nothing, like that. Okay, my delicious babies, I didn't mean it like that. What I meant is that how do I know there we are what's gone on? Because after all, these always run with numbers. Not only that, but it's to do with families. There we are. Okay, my delicious babies, okay? So there we are, is something. But the clue was there, wasn't it, my delicious babies, with the little doggy and the little rabbit? There we are. Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies? Okay, just seem really odd. Usually in a playpen, you would. And I thought that actually when I first had the photograph, because it was an old Polaroid, from the old Polaroid cameras, my delicious babies. Okay, that's one of the photographs that were kept, because I do not have a lot of photographs of me growing up or anything. Okay, my delicious babies. Okay, that's another story which I just do not wish to discuss. Anyway, my delicious babies, the fact of the matter is, and how do I know that my dear mum, okay, was not MK, there we are, altered? My delicious babies, okay, there we are, how do I know? Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies, okay? Plus, my dad had been, you're in the army now, he'd been in the army decades ago, and my beautiful dear little nanny and granddad, how I love them, sir. My beautiful dear little granddad was in the Navy. So, and it was all on my noddle. There we are, yesterday evening. And I was pinpointing to certain times. And I've noticed on some videos, right, and then there's, and that doesn't mean no, there's certain dates. There we are, and, even decades ago, I remember saying, and I did, and I said, I feel, there we are, I said, like I'm being watched. I remember saying it all that time back. I said, I feel like I'm being watched. Okay, my delicious babies. And then when I go back to where I used to live, that's another thing as well, my delicious babies, you know what I mean? I cannot believe that it's taken me this long to flipping work it out. Even I cannot believe myself. You know what I mean, my delicious babies? Okay, but how was I to know? Do you see what I'm saying? That's the question. How was I supposed to know, my delicious babies? Okay? So, and even when I go back and I notice, because I used to go to my little spiritual church and everything, and I used to go and do my meditation and everything, my delicious babies, and I used to do an awful lot of readings. How do I know, going back all those years ago, that whoever it is to whom it may concern, that they wasn't sending ones, there we are, to myself to do readings, and I never knew where they're from. And if my man served me correctly, there we are, some came from London. Okay, there we are, my delicious babies, okay? And at the time, I remember, I says, you come all this way? I thought that was really odd. Like you'd expect that from not that I was ungrateful, because of course, I was very grateful, to be able to do readings. Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies, okay? But what's my point that I'm making? The fact is, because I used to be, there we are, really, really busy. Okay, my delicious babies, there we are with my readings. Okay, my delicious babies, okay? So how do I know that they was not purposely, there we are, purposely sent? My delicious babies, okay? So when I look at it, even like places where, there we are, where I've lived, my delicious babies, okay? And I've heard all different things now. And then there we are. And then yesterday evening, it's like a massive light bulb, there we are, just went ping in my noddle. My delicious babies. So when I thought that I'd only been spied on since the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, Okay, my delicious baby, no. This has been going on, there we are, a lot longer. And I never knew. But again, we get back to what is it? Why I'm being, there we are, sparred on for? What is it? Because that's what I really, there we are, want to know. Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies? They have gone a little bit quieter lately, admittedly. So they may have just decided to distance themselves for a bit. You know what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? Although I'm not getting anything across my shoulders, so I'm pretty sure, there we are, I am still being sparred on, because I can hear everything, there we are. Even when I go to the toilet, my delicious little babies, do you understand what I mean? They can hear everything. Do you see what I mean, okay? But they have gone quieter. Okay, my delicious little babies, but this has been going on, there we are, a long time. So how do I know? I do not know, because I haven't been told anything, my delicious little babies. And it sounds to yourselves, unless you watch me, there we are, long time. Okay, my delicious babies, and bless you, and how I love you so. Thank you. It sounds like I'm, off my trolley. Okay, my delicious little babies, like I'm a sandwich short of a picnic. Like the lift doesn't go up to the top floor, no, and I'm not pointing at you, my delicious little babies, that's rude. No. There is nothing wrong with my noddle. I'm putting it together now. Do you see what I mean? Yes, okay. And I thought to myself, yes, now I see. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Right, okay. But at the same time, what is it, there we are, that I'm supposed to be seeing? So we're getting back to this again, my delicious little babies. Do you understand what I mean? Yes, okay. So, I don't know. I've no idea what this is about, my delicious little baby. If I knew, I would gladly tell you. But I do not know myself, my delicious little babies. I've just not got a clue. Okay, but like I said, it could be family, there we are, linked, or there we are, it could be family linked, or whatever it is, okay? But I wish that somebody would give me some more clues, there we are, as to what all of this is about, my delicious little babies, okay? Because I know that from what I gather, I've been playing my part, maybe there we are with information, just having normal conversations, my delicious little babies, there we are. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So it's very clear to myself, there we are, that I played a part. But I would have done my YouTube videos a lot of years earlier, but I was just too busy doing everything else, my delicious little babies, there we are, to be perfectly honest with you, okay? Now, way too much going on in my own life to be concerned with doing videos, okay, my delicious little babies. So I came in like 4 years ago, my delicious little babies, do you see what I mean, okay? But it's very clear to myself, there we are, that ones were, there we are, watching me a long time before that. Look at that, how I never knew, my delicious little babies, look at that. And not only that, but Gary said on his video, right, and that's something else, my delicious little babies, when he turned around and said, and I thought, yes, I could well believe it. Because like I said, when I was being sparred on, my delicious little babies, at one time, there was flipping a lot of them, so somebody must have had the serious ka-ching, ching, ching, to spend that kind of change, to watch what I do in my everyday life, my delicious little babies, heaven knows why, but still. And he was talking about, and you got these ones, you wouldn't know who they are, because they're just everyday mankind. So they do not even have these posh murters, brum's wheels, okay? My delicious babies are just, so they blend in like every day, they're blending that way, my delicious little babies, there we are. Do you see what I mean? You need to listen to the video, my delicious little babies, what I'm talking about. But I'm certainly not mad. No, I'm not. So really, all of this, there we are, confirms how I felt, there we are, decades ago. And I always remember a beautiful dear little Nana Bear, how I love them so, a beautiful dear little Nanny and Grandad, and how apparently I used to say, because I cannot remember now, because I was really young at the time, and he used to say, you do come out with things, Carla, do you know what I mean? Just things out the blue from when I was little. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? And I just couldn't understand where it was all coming from. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? So is this which we know that, one say it's a spiritual thing, but is this to do with the spiritual thing? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes? Okay, so we have to put it all together. But I'm going to ask one question to whom it may concern. What is this really about? This is what I am wanting to know. Please and thank you. But, you know, to spy on me, there we are, for all these years. What is it about? You see what I mean, my delicious little babies, cakes? I want to know. There we are. I want to know. You know, because for myself, it is, you know, it's invaded my privacy. What I do in my private life has got nothing to do with anybody. Not that I'm doing anything anyway. Okay? Nothing, put it this way, of any importance. Okay, my delicious little babies. So the fact is, what is it about? There we are. We get back to it again. You see? So one way or another, there we are. I'm sure I'm going to find out what all the spying's about. But how many others have they, there we are, very sadly done this to? How many others? Do you see what I mean? And when neighbours spy on others, you know what I mean? Because, like I said, they've been told, this is my thoughts, my delicious little babies, that they have been told one thing now when it's not that at all. So, of course, really, they would be spying, there we are, innocently, if there's anything, you know, such called as spying innocently. Because for myself, if anybody asked me to spy on my neighbours, I would say no. Because I believe that ones, there we are, should have their privacy, no matter who they are. Okay, if you are prepared to make videos and things like this now, well, of course, there we are, ones are going to see your birth trace. That's common sense, my delicious baby. So I'm not being, you know, sarcastic when I'm saying it. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? But if somebody said to myself, go and spy on somebody else, no. If I wanted to, I know exactly, there we are, the channels to do it. So yes, believe me on that one, I do. There we are. Okay, my delicious little babies, but I just choose not to. Because I do not myself feel that that is fair on anybody to do. Okay, my delicious little babies, for whatever reason it may be, nobody's got any right to spy on somebody else. No, they do not. This is, there we are, totally, there we are, illegal. Okay, my delicious little babies, kind, that's all I've got to say. So wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunny. Little honey bunny, sorry, sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, there we are, may you all be fully protected. Okay, my delicious little babies. So until my next video, how I love you all so. Thank you so very much for listening. There is nothing wrong with my noddle, but I would say whoever's been spying on myself, maybe, and for anybody who spies, you know what I mean, especially who's giving them instructions to, okay, or orders, my delicious little babies, I'd say maybe that there's something very clearly they are wrong with themselves. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Anyway, so that's the end of my video, okay? So until my next video, how I love you all so. Thank you once again for listening. Love ya. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye.